going to do a film breakdown of this in a minute that you did for brownsfilmbreakdown.com. What's the upside? Why do teams play under center? Why are teams getting away from playing under center relative to the quarterback?
Yeah. I mean, if you followed football long enough, under center passing game is just it's a way of the past. I think it's again, if you have followed the game for a long time, you know that there was a very big era that creeped into the 2000s where it was, hey, we don't throw from the shotgun, we don't do anything from the shotgun, right? That's not a thing that you watched Friday night football across the country. It was rare, and then it started to make its way into the mainstream. Coaches started to figure out the advantages of being in the gun and putting defenders in uncomfortable positions and making them. You got these kids who come up through the ranks, and by the time they reach high school, they're not comfortable defending the pass as they are playing forward, playing the run. So it's become a bigger thing over time. Obviously, trickles into the college game, and it's grown and it's manifested more layers to it, and it's worked its way to the world where most teams, when throwing the football, live in gun, right? Or most teams in the college world and high school world live in a situation where they're almost entirely operating out of the gun. They don't really even, some teams don't even put their hands under the center to take a kneel down at the end of games. So that's becoming more popular, and it's the total inverse of maybe 25 years ago where you're like facing triple option teams or midline run teams every week who are doing this under center, three backs in the backfield stuff. Like, that's the world I came from in high school, but that's just rare. Now it's the flip side where we would run into a shotgun team back in those days and it would be like, all right, this is different. How do we prepare? It's the inverse now. So it's funny. The NFL, as far as 10 years ago, had a north of 1,000 snaps from under center in a straight drop back pass. Very popular NFL structure for a long time. Even into the 2010s, you would see teams get under center. And what I'm talking about is not play action, not exposing the football to the running back and then curling up in the pocket, setting up. And I'm not talking about, quick screens or anything of that nature. I'm talking about no play action, under center, straight drop back passing. It has just been something that and you would say, well, why is the NFL going away from it if there are advantages to it? Well, think about it. Kids aren't doing it in college or high school. So asking them to do it in the NFL is a risky operation, right? And you don't see, so you just see a desire to do it fading. Now, I do think some teams, the 49ers, I think the Vikings at times, and I think the Rams at times, and there have been some others, have gotten under center and decided, hey, we need to put defenses into a position where they're not thinking two things. If every time you're under center, you're either running the football or running play action, you get coded to have a reaction set up from the defense, right? Linebackers know how to play it with tempo this way, that way. They know how to punch out and play. Hey, we read run for 2 steps. It's play action, punch out. We're going to play what's called like that robot technique where you're literally turning your back and running underneath and breaking routes, various other things. There's some specific stuff there that if you're interested, we have it at our website. But what I'm getting at is if you're programmed to do these two things, they're running or they're running play action. And when they run play action, we know there's only these routes they can run. And pretty much in the secondary, your thought is I'm either slow playing the run because I either have a late fit or I'm in a contained position, right? Or I'm playing play action pass, which is downfield developing routes because obviously you're not going to run short routes very often from one side, like a hitch, for example, if it's a long developing play action. So long-winded, but what teams are trying to do and have started to see a little bit of a turn is, hey, let's get under center in 5-step, 3-step, or even 7-step drop to make defenses have to honor that we could throw quick from under center, right? We could throw a 5-step speed out or comeback or whatever. Like, what you're trying to do in the NFL these days is make defenses think as much as you possibly can. And if you're just doing these two very specific things under center, well, they eliminate that idea that DBs and linebackers need to be prepared for quick throw from under center. And let's change that. Let's be able to straight drop. Let's be able to run normal shotgun related stuff. Because if you're in the gun, you're 5 yards back, right? So if you're in the gun, a 3-step drop probably puts you in a similar place to what maybe a 7-step drop puts you from under center. Or if you're under center, a 5-step drop probably puts you right at about the same spot that what we used to call just a punch rock or rocker step stuff puts you in the position. So what you want to do is challenge teams, as you see here, a 7-step drop, is, hey man, we're going to do different things and challenge you to be in these certain spots. You're going to cheat one way for the run. We're going to try to throw it deep. Like the Browns started doing this, as you see in front of you, randomly back in 2023 in this Ravens game. They had Watson drop back 7 steps from under center and tried to push it vertically, and they had some opportunities. They just didn't connect on any of them. But I was like, all right, this is interesting. This is an uptick. This is just something I've never really seen them do. There's an example of quick throw from under center. So you have to have a quarterback get used to it. And then you have to be able, and like some of these are Flacco, as you'll see in the 23 reps. And then there's some examples from Jameis Winston last year too, guys who have done it. But you can get horizontal and vertical stretches in a way that teams just aren't normally prepared for, the way they would be in the gun. Hey, if they're in the gun and it's 1st and 10 or 2nd and 5, we know they like to throw quick game, right? Speed outs, hitches, settle routes over the middle, all in that 0 to 5 yard spacing, right? We know they like to do that, right? Even here's Baker Mayfield finding way back in 2020 an answer up the sideline on a corner. You could see just cheating inside. It's just a straight drop. They're just not used to playing against it. Here's a seam ball from a straight drop, 5 steps under center that you put into the end zone too. So I just think it's an underused part of what teams are doing. And I think the Browns are trying to identify ways to put it back into their fold. I think they started last year, late in the year, trying to do a little bit more of it. As I'm trying to show you some more of what they did maybe early Kevin's tenure, which is obviously a bit more Baker from 20 and 21. But, you know, again, Watson here, it's just simple stuff where you're trying to put defenses who are saying, hey, we're going to play run because they're under center. But if we know if they go play action that we can get out of it and find an answer. And here's some Jameis Winston from just last year, right? Let's get under center, let's 7-step drop, and let's get those lateral stretches that open up some spots to find some cheap and easy yards. Offenses are trying to hunt as many times as they can for cheap and easy yards. And when you're in run looks, right, and we actually don't even give a fake, we're just dropping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, getting the ball out on time. It just catches corners, safeties, linebackers a little off balance. And I think you can find some easy yards there. So I don't think, listen, the Browns aren't going to have 100 of these in the season. Like there was only like 350 across the league last year. But in the right deep, like if you get in, hey, every time we're under center, they play a very vanilla basic cover 3, right? Or say they play quarters. Like typically you'll see teams play close coverage because they want to have more defenders towards the line of scrimmage. So they'll play cover 3 so that they have every gap fit. They are gapped out, but that leaves us with some advantageous spots where we can throw to the flat, or we can throw these stretches that we can get linebackers maybe a little closer to the line of scrimmage so we can take advantage of them in high-low scenarios, stuff like that. And I think that under center drop back stuff does give you some opportunity to tendency break. And I think teams who are trying to live in under center world, not as much what the Browns did last year, because we know they were doing a little more of that RPO looking, tying into more of what Ken Dorsey liked to do. But as they go back to living more under center, I think this is something they want to have in their pocket, similar to teams who do a lot of under center stuff. Those I listed earlier, Vikings, 49ers, Rams. The Saints did a lot of it last year with Clint Kubiak as their play caller as well. So yeah, keep an eye out for that when you watch games, because it's not a normal thing the way, say, it was in 1995. Go watch the Belichick 95 Browns, and they're under center. They drop. It was just a very normal thing to have quarterbacks under center, 3, 5, 7-step dropping, and it was just a part of football, right? Now you get a course of 25 years more. We're just like, hey, let's get the quarterback further from the line of scrimmage, open up his vision, et cetera, et cetera. But what we want to do now is try to break that tendency. Everything in football is cyclical. It all circles and comes around, and that's where we're at this tipping point of, I think, working its way back to, hey, this has some advantages that we have forgotten about over the years. So it's kind of funny to see that happen.